mentioned liability before. What level of liability do the boards have as a fiduciary board?
Good, very good point. First of all, nobody's going to join the board without being indemnified. And what that means is that that's an agreement where the company indemnifies them for their actions and agrees to defend them if they're sued, basically. Second of all, typically the really good people that would want to be on your board are going to require D&O insurance, directors and officers insurance. So that's an insurance policy for a company like yours. Not particularly expensive. It might cost you $7,000, $8,000 a year, something like that. It's not, because it's so closely held. The biggest risk for the board is being sued by the shareholders that they're supposed to represent.
Yeah.
That's the biggest single risk. If you've got 1 million shareholders out there, like an AT&T or a whatever, you better have a lot of D&O, because there's always going to be somebody suing you. But in your particular case, the risk is so low that the policy isn't very expensive. But so one of you guys could get distraught and sue the board. One of your heirs could get annoyed with what happened and sue you. A customer could sue the company and include the board, although generally speaking, that's not going to really go very far. They don't really, you're not going to be involved in anything. But so there is liability, but the biggest liability is a publicly traded company. Private companies, I used to joke with people with venture capital funded companies, D&O insurance, give me a break. Who's going to sue you? The VC? No, that just doesn't happen. So.
I was thinking in terms of like if there were a data breach or something like that.
Yes.
And that the board then becomes.
Yes, the board could have responsibility, and in my book, there's actually a chapter on the board's responsibility for cybersecurity risk, and the board is responsible, and the board needs to do a bunch of things to show. But the good news is that there are well documented things that a board can do that it doesn't mean that you're not going to get sued, but it generally means that it's not going to be a good outcome to the people that sued you. They're not going to win. So, but that's why you have D&O insurance. But you have that same risk now yourselves, personally anyway, so